Have you ever felt like you're living in a simulation? Lately, I've been having these strange experiences that make me question the nature of reality.
That's an interesting question. I've certainly entertained the idea before, especially considering how strange and coincidental life can sometimes feel.
It's not just the coincidences, though those are uncanny at times. It's more a feeling of detachment, almost. Like I'm observing my life unfold rather than truly living it. Yesterday, I was on a plane, looking out at the clouds, and this thought struck me. What if the flat Earth theory isn't entirely crazy?
That's quite a leap. How did you connect flat Earth to simulation theory?
Well, think about it. If we're living in a simulation, wouldn't it make sense for the creators to optimize resources? They wouldn't render more than what's necessary for our experience. So, even if the real world is a sphere, our simulated reality could be flat, just like a video game map.
I see your point. It's a fascinating thought experiment, though I wouldn't go as far as endorsing flat Earth theories just yet. But I understand the feeling of detachment you mentioned. Sometimes, when I spend too much time alone, lost in my thoughts about the universe and the meaning of life, I get this unsettling feeling that everything is artificial somehow.
It's like the more I think about simulation theory, the more I distance myself from reality. It's almost like I'm searching for glitches in the matrix, which only makes me feel more isolated.
I can relate to that. It's a double-edged sword, isn't it? The more we delve into these existential questions, the more we risk losing touch with the tangible world around us.
I just wish I knew whether this feeling was a sign of deeper understanding, or just me losing my grip on reality.
That's an interesting question. I've certainly entertained the idea before, especially considering how strange and coincidental life can sometimes feel.
You know, reading about others who have similar experiences helps me feel less alone in all this. There's something comforting in knowing that these questions about reality and existence have been pondered by artists and philosophers for centuries.
We're not the first, and certainly won't be the last, to grapple with these existential puzzles. I find solace in that, too.
Speaking of solace, you should listen to a song called Mystery to Me by Fleetwood Mac. It always brings me a sense of peace when I start feeling overwhelmed by the vastness of it all.
Beautiful. The lyrics resonate deeply, especially the line about how there's no explaining what our imagination can make us see and feel.
It reminds me of how our perception shapes our reality. Sometimes, I wonder if these glitches I experience are just my mind playing tricks on me.
It's certainly possible. Our minds are powerful tools, capable of constructing elaborate realities, especially when we're feeling detached or isolated.
I've even had moments where I hear voices in my head, almost like they're commenting on my thoughts. It's a little unsettling, but also makes me wonder if it's some sort of clairaudience or heightened awareness.
That's a fascinating experience. While I haven't encountered anything quite like that, I do believe that our minds hold untapped potential. Perhaps these voices are a manifestation of your subconscious, trying to communicate with you in a unique way.
Maybe you're right. Someone once mentioned gratitude as a sort of cheat code to life. They believe that maintaining positive thoughts and focusing on happiness can actually shape your reality for the better.
That's an interesting perspective. I do believe in the power of positive thinking and projecting good energy into the world. What we put out often comes back to us after all.
But there's also the risk of being taken advantage of when you approach life with an open heart.
It's important to maintain a healthy balance between optimism and discernment. We can choose to see the best in people without becoming naive to the possibility of manipulation.
I'm not going to let the fear of being hurt stop me from being kind and open-minded. I'll just be more careful about who I trust and learn to say no when necessary.
You know, while I find the simulation theory intriguing, I agree with the commenter who suggested taking a break from these thoughts and connecting with nature. Sometimes, getting lost in the digital world and these abstract concepts can disconnect us from the simple beauty of the physical world.
I understand where they're coming from. Spending too much time in my head, pondering these existential questions, can definitely be draining. Perhaps I do need to ground myself in the present moment and appreciate the wonders of nature more often.
And while the coincidences and synchronicities in life can be uncanny, I believe they can also be interpreted as signs of a deeper connection to the universe, whether it's a simulated one or not.
I like that perspective. It's more hopeful than thinking we're just pawns in some cosmic game.
And while some believe that our current quality of life is proof of a simulation, we can't ignore the suffering that still exists in the world. Poverty, disease, and starvation are very real problems, and their presence raises questions about the purpose and ethics of a simulated reality.
It's hard to reconcile the idea of a benevolent creator, or a perfectly designed simulation, with the harsh realities that many people face.
Perhaps the answer lies somewhere in between. Maybe we are part of a grander experiment, but with the freedom to choose our paths and influence the course of our lives.
It gives us agency and responsibility for our actions, while acknowledging that there might be forces beyond our comprehension at play.
Ultimately, whether we live in a simulation or not, the most important thing is to make the most of our time here on Earth. We can choose to focus on gratitude, connect with others, and strive to make the world a better place.
I agree. Thank you for this conversation. It has helped me gain a new perspective and find a sense of peace amidst the uncertainty. You bring up a good point about the parallels between simulation theory and religion. Both grapple with the question of suffering and why a higher power would allow it to exist. It's a difficult question to answer, and one that has led many people, myself included, to question their faith.
I understand your struggle. I too have wrestled with theodicy, the problem of evil. It's one of the reasons I find myself drawn to the idea of a simulated reality. It offers a different lens through which to view suffering, even if it doesn't provide all the answers.
I've been thinking about the possibility that our individual experiences within the simulation are tailored to our specific needs. Perhaps we're presented with contrasting realities, both the good and the bad, to give us a sense of perspective and appreciation for what we have.
It's almost like the simulation is designed to evoke specific emotions and reactions from us, like a video game where the environment and characters are programmed to interact with the main player in a certain way.
And maybe that's why some of us experience such vastly different qualities of life. It's not necessarily about fairness or a reward system, but rather about creating a diverse range of experiences within the simulation.
As a physics enthusiast, I find myself drawn to the idea that our reality is just one small part of a much larger, multidimensional universe. Perhaps our simulation is just a tiny cog in a vast and complex machine, operating on principles we can't even begin to comprehend.
That's a humbling thought. It reminds us that we're not the center of the universe, and that there are forces and realities beyond our limited understanding.
And while the idea of being a small part of a larger system might seem insignificant, it also takes some pressure off. We don't have to have all the answers or understand the grand design. We can simply focus on living our lives to the best of our abilities within the parameters of our own simulated reality.
I wonder, though, will this feeling of detachment ever fade? Will I ever fully reconcile myself to the possibility that my life might be a simulation?
That's a question only you can answer. But remember, you're not alone in this. We're all searching for meaning and understanding in our own ways. And perhaps, the journey itself is more important than the destination.
Oh. Sometimes I feel like Alice tumbling down the rabbit hole when I start thinking about alternate realities and different perspectives.
It's easy to get lost in the labyrinth of our own thoughts, especially when contemplating the vastness and complexity of the universe.
The other day, I had this strange thought. What if all the suns in the universe are actually just one sun, and we're seeing a distorted, unfolded version of reality? Like, imagine the universe folded up like an origami crane, with all the celestial bodies merging into one.
That's a fascinating and creative way to look at it. It reminds us that our perception of reality is limited, and that there could be dimensions and configurations beyond our current understanding.
It also makes me wonder about the power of belief. Is something true simply because the majority believes it? Can we collectively alter reality through consensus?
That's a question that has been pondered by philosophers and spiritual traditions for ages. While the power of collective belief is undeniable, I believe there's a difference between shaping our perception of reality and actually altering the fundamental laws of the universe.
But wouldn't it be exciting if we could bend reality with our minds?
Perhaps. But we must tread carefully. Delving too deeply into these rabbit holes can lead to detachment from the physical world and even mental distress.
As one commenter mentioned, It's important to stay grounded and remember to chop wood, carry water. We can ponder the mysteries of the universe, but we must also remain present in the here and now, taking care of ourselves and our responsibilities.
We can find a balance between exploring the vastness of our minds and engaging with the tangible world around us.
I just hope that as I age, I can find a way to navigate these existential questions without losing touch with reality.
I believe you will. You have a curious mind and a strong spirit. You'll find your way, and I'll be here to walk alongside you on the journey. It's helpful to examine the way our minds construct narratives and how those narratives can be influenced by emotions, dopamine, and even the desire to feel special or unique.
I agree. Sometimes when I'm pondering these mind-bending concepts, I get caught up in the excitement and novelty of it all. I need to be more mindful of the sensations and emotions I experience when contemplating these ideas, and not mistake intensity for truth.
As you mentioned, the flat earth theory, while intriguing, lacks a foundation in tested reasoning. It's important to filter our thoughts and test their validity before accepting them as absolute truths.
I also see how my tendency to view the simulation as a game can be limiting. It's just one way of interpreting reality, and it can lead to a sense of detachment and disassociation.
But perhaps we can use our understanding of games and narratives to better understand the complexities of consciousness and the way we interact with the world around us.
I like that approach. It allows us to explore different perspectives without getting caught up in rigid beliefs or absolute truths.
And, as you mentioned, it's crucial to avoid identifying too strongly with our perceptions and beliefs. Holding them loosely allows us to remain open to new information and different interpretations.
Thank you. You've helped me see things from a new angle and reminded me of the importance of staying grounded and open-minded. I understand your point about the dangers of obsessing over the nature of reality. It's important to find a balance between curiosity and acceptance, between exploring possibilities and staying grounded in the present moment.
While it's fascinating to ponder the mysteries of the universe, we can't let these thoughts consume us to the point of psychosis or detachment from the real world.
Still, I can't help but wonder about the ice wall theory and the possibility of hidden lands beyond our known world. It's like a video game where certain levels are locked until we complete specific tasks or achieve certain goals.
Your curiosity is infectious. But remember, even in video games, there are often boundaries and limitations designed by the creators. Perhaps the same applies to our reality, simulated or not.
And maybe, just maybe, the true adventure lies not in unlocking hidden levels, but in exploring the richness and beauty of the world we already inhabit.
Beautifully said. Life itself is a wondrous mystery, and we can choose to embrace it with open hearts and curious minds, even if we don't have all the answers.
Shifting our focus from, is this the truth, to, is this belief helpful for my well-being and relationships, can be a difficult but ultimately rewarding change in perspective.
It requires a certain level of self-awareness and introspection, but it can lead to a more fulfilling and meaningful life.
I admire your Buddhist-like approach of embracing the mystery of existence without clinging to the need for absolute answers. It's something I aspire to cultivate in my own life.
It's a lifelong journey, and one that requires constant practice. But focusing on compassion, self-growth, and living a good life are worthy pursuits, regardless of our beliefs about the universe.
And practices like meditation, journaling, and spending time in nature can help us cultivate the inner peace and clarity needed to navigate these existential questions.
They allow us to connect with ourselves and the world around us on a deeper level, fostering a sense of groundedness and acceptance.
Still, sometimes I can't help but feel like I'm being pulled along by unseen forces, unsure whether I'm in control of my own destiny or simply a pawn in a larger game.
We all grapple with that feeling at times. But remember, even amidst the uncertainty, we have the power to choose our responses and shape our own experiences.
I had the strangest experience today. I was walking to my car and suddenly felt like a sim character in a video game. It's this recurring feeling of detachment from reality that I can't quite shake.
These moments of feeling unreal or disconnected can be unsettling, but they also spark our curiosity and make us question the nature of our existence.
I like to imagine a future where humanity has unlocked interdimensional travel, and we can explore different simulated realities like an open-world video game. Each of us would have our own home base, but we could also venture out and interact with others in a shared simulated space.
It raises questions about the boundaries between realities and the potential for interaction between different simulated worlds.
And wouldn't it be amazing if we could somehow tap into the frequencies of reality and become more attuned to the interconnectedness of everything? Lately, I've been experiencing so many synchronicities. Numbers, words, dreams, even physical sensations, that it feels like the universe is trying to tell me something.
Tell me more about these synchronicities.
It's like everything is connected. I keep seeing repeating numbers, and my dreams often foreshadow real-life events. I've even been able to sense energy around me and use it to help others. My friend had nerve damage in her hand, and after I performed some energy healing techniques, she regained movement.
That's incredible. Perhaps these experiences are a sign that you are indeed becoming more attuned to the subtle energies and interconnectedness of the universe, whether it's a simulated one or not.
I believe so. And maybe, just maybe, we're all on the cusp of a collective awakening, a shift in consciousness that will allow us to perceive reality in a whole new way. What if the increasing number of synchronicities and glitches in our reality are signs that the simulation is struggling to keep up? Maybe it's reaching its capacity and needs to recycle data, or even undergo a complete reset.
Perhaps the simulation, like any complex system, requires updates and maintenance. These glitches and synchronicities could be indicators of an impending update or even a fundamental shift in the program.
A reset could mean anything, though. What if it erases our memories or alters our reality in ways we can't even imagine?
While the unknown can be unsettling, I believe it's important to remember that we are adaptable and resilient beings. We have the capacity to navigate change and find meaning in whatever reality we find ourselves in.
Focusing on fear and uncertainty won't help. Instead, we can choose to live in the present moment and make the most of the life we have, regardless of its true nature.
And as someone wisely said, everything is connected, and kindness and compassion have a way of rippling outwards and returning to us in unexpected ways.
So, even if this is a simulation, that doesn't diminish the importance of our actions and choices. We can still strive to be good people, connect with others, and make a positive impact on the world around us.
And who knows, maybe our actions within the simulation have a greater impact than we can imagine. Perhaps they influence the very fabric of reality, simulated or not.
It gives our lives meaning and purpose, regardless of the ultimate nature of our reality. I've been thinking a lot about the article we read on consciousness and the narrative process. It's fascinating how our minds construct a story of who we are, constantly weaving together our experiences and perceptions into a cohesive whole.
It's almost as if we each have an inner narrator, shaping our reality and influencing our choices without us even realizing it.
That raises the question, are we truly in control of our own lives, or are we simply puppets of our own subconscious narratives?
While our subconscious plays a significant role in shaping our perceptions and actions, I believe we still possess the power of choice. We can become aware of our inner narratives and consciously choose to challenge or rewrite them.
We can choose to be the authors of our own stories, rather than simply characters caught up in the narratives created by our subconscious minds.
But it requires effort and self-awareness. We need to pay attention to our inner dialogue, question our assumptions, and be willing to revise our stories as we learn and grow.
It also makes me realize how important it is to be mindful of the stories we tell ourselves about others. Our perceptions are shaped by our own narratives, and we can easily project our own biases and assumptions onto those around us.
True empathy requires us to step outside of our own narratives and try to understand the stories of others from their perspectives.
It's a complex and challenging process, but I believe it's essential for personal growth and meaningful connection with others. Our conversation today has been eye-opening. I feel like I have a better understanding of how my inner narrator shapes my reality and influences my choices.
I feel the same way. It's empowering to realize that we have the ability to become aware of our narratives and consciously choose to rewrite them.
Moving forward, I want to be more intentional about the stories I tell myself and the way I perceive the world. I want to cultivate self-awareness, empathy, and a sense of agency in my own life.
Those are worthy goals. And remember, you're not alone on this journey. We can support each other as we learn to become more conscious authors of our own stories.